Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of Latam Food Talks. I'm 𝗟𝗲𝘁, CEO of the Food Institute. And today I have the honor of speaking with Alvaro Luque, President and CEO of Avocados from Mexico. But before I bring in our special guest, I want to encourage you all to send in your comments and questions. We want to make this live stream as interactive as possible. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and stay up to date with the latest food industry news and insights. Hit that like and subscribe and follow button on our other platforms as well. All right, and now it's time to introduce the man of the hour, Alvaro Luque. Welcome.
Hi, Brian. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Great, great, and super excited to have you on our program. I've been a huge fan of what you do and your organization. But let's get the conversation started.
Sure.
Alvaro, before we dive into the AFM organization, please share with our audience a little bit about your background and education.
Yeah, well, first, even though I run Avocados from Mexico and I've been working with Mexican companies for more than 20, 22, 23 years, I'm actually Costa Rican. So I was born and raised in Costa Rica, and I've been a marketer my whole life since I started college down there in Costa Rica. I was fortunate enough to start working in different organizations at the beginning of my career, more on the paper products with Scott Paper Company and some other companies. And right after that, I started working with food. That was definitely one of my passions. And at some point, I got to a company that is called Grupo Maseca, a very important company in Costa Rica, very important company here in the U.S. with Mission Foods, and I started growing my career with them. I was with the company 15 years, managing their marketing operations for Central America, then Venezuela, then Latin America, through Mexico, and finally here in the U.S. And while being with them here, I had the opportunity of joining Avocados from Mexico. That was a very different type of organization, and I've been leading the company as the CEO and president for the last 9 years here in the U.S.
Wow, that's great. Um, Tell me what it was like. AFM started in 2013,
Yeah.
right? As a startup. So going into that role, which building it from, I would say, pretty much from the ground up. What was that experience like coming from like more of the established organizations? Tell us a little bit about the thought process behind that move.
Yeah, it was an adventure, right? The company didn't exist before 2013. The category was already booming, and the avocado Mexican business was already a thing in the U.S. But they were trying to build up a marketing organization and a brand that really didn't have any ground or existence here in the U.S. Actually, when they called me the first time, it was a surprise because being a marketer of CPG for my whole career, when they called me and told me that they were looking for someone to run a marketing organization for a fruit, I was like, I cannot imagine myself doing this for avocados. But then when I learned how the company was structured, how the process and the program works, I said, no, this is my dream job. I want to take it. I think this is a great way of moving up and getting that CEO position that I wanted, but at the same time in an organization that was grounded on marketing. So I was able to do what I love. So it was an adventure at the beginning because we had these great ideas of what we wanted to do, but when we started, we had nothing, and the brand was completely unknown. So we came fast and furious at the beginning, trying to build up the organization and build up the brand and the presence in the U.S. And after almost 10 years, I think that we have done a very interesting job delivering what we wanted since the beginning.
That's great. One question I have for you, Alvaro, is many people have studied marketing. They have multiple careers in different organizations, But when I look at Avocados from Mexico and what you were able to do with that organization, I like I can't put them in the same category in terms of success and also business strategy of being able to build that organization for with a decade from start to where it is today. What in your experience or in your view, what were the key elements, I guess, personally from you in terms of the skill set that you kind of learned from your other organizations? And then in terms of on the ground building it, what were the key ingredients to kind of building that organization from the ground up?
Yeah, well, I think that first is a very unique organization because it is a marketing program, right? Our name is Avocados from Mexico, but the reality is that we don't sell avocados and we're not from Mexico. We're 100% an American marketing company. Um, so for us, in one way, was easy, I would say, because we had the experience of marketing, and we knew what marketing programs, activities, thinking could work. But then, on the other hand, was very difficult, because a lot of the playbooks that you usually have in the marketing world are not even possible in this produce world, right? When you think about our company, we've been very innovative and very disruptive in the marketing world, and we are a company of only one product that cannot extend in any way. I cannot, by law, by the program, I cannot have brand extensions. I cannot have any type of package consumer goods made of avocados that are part of my program. I cannot develop packaging, right? So I only have one fruit, one single product. That's it. So it was at the beginning hard to understand how we can take one single product that in many ways could be a commodity, and give that the personality and the brand elements that you need to develop a successful marketing company, right? So I think it was um, that we had that balance of experience and challenge at the beginning, but very fast we started seeing some very good opportunities that I think were solid first steps for the company that really worked out. The organization in general was very flexible since the beginning, letting us build up this idea of this company that we wanted, and that helped me out, bring my thinking and my type of people to the organization. In the last 10 years, we've been growing a lot as a company, employee wise, and most of the people that we have bringing to the company are not even from produce. So I've been able to bring a lot of different experiences into a company, into a brand, into a program that has helped us out, overcome those initial challenges that we saw at the beginning, and that has made this journey very very fun and different.
When it started in 2013, Alvaro, how many employees did you have? And then what's the size of the organization today?
We're still super small, Brian. When we started, we were six. That's it. No offices, nothing. Right? I was coming from from an organization of thousands of people, organizations all over the world, to a company of six. Right? So it was a big shock for us. Right? Now we're a company of 40. Right? So still is a very small organization, but the way that the associations that founded this organization wanted to do it, and the way that we saw it since the beginning, was that we wanted to always have a small company, but then a very robust agency network around us. So I work with 12, 13 different agencies, very specialized partners that help me deliver and create all the different programs that I need in each one of the areas, like it was part of my organization, but I don't really need to have the headcount. And that way we have been able to stand out and to create what we wanted, but still keep the company super small compared to the players that we're facing out there in the market.
I love that. I love the fact that you started small and nimble, and you remain, nimble as well. It's something that resonates very much with me. I took over Food Institute in 2020, and the number was 6. And today we're about 17.
Uh,
We're very nimble, and we're competing against some of the largest kind of media companies in the world. But I think going to your point of keeping organizations very flexible, very flat, and focused on innovation, and we're going to come to that in a little bit in the follow up questions. Um, I want to kind of shift gears here and talk a little bit about the avocado market,
mhm.
right? So, based on my initial research on avocados, it's been around. The fruit has been around, for hundreds of years. But really, the growth of avocados happened, within the past 20 years after the embargo, was lifted, and so as you kind of saw the avocado consumption kind of increase during the early days of avocados from Mexico, how big of a, I guess, how much growth was there at that time, before AFM, and post AFM, like how has that kind of like catapulted? And we're gonna get into some of the partnerships like the Super Bowl and the NFL, but describe to our audience a little bit about the initial growth rate, what you saw, and then what you saw afterwards when you started AFM.
Yeah. So when we started the organization at that moment, Mexican avocados were already 65% of the market here in the U.S. We had an issue at that moment with brand, because even though we had 65% of the market, we only had 20% of market preference. So when we started the organization and we faced that reality that we are not from Mexico and we don't sell avocados, one of the biggest and most important questions that I had at the beginning is, what's our purpose? What's exactly the reason why you want to create an organization like Avocados from Mexico? And we end up deciding that our business purpose is going to be what we call our dual responsibility. That was create a brand for the Mexican avocado business on one side, because we believe that branding and marketing can sustain value for this category for the future. And on the other hand, accelerate demand as much as possible for the whole category. Even though we knew that probably by doing that we were going to help other origins to grow in the US, but we were never focused on the other 35% at that moment. To as a market share play, we always wanted to extend the pie, and we knew that there was a great opportunity doing that. Fast forward 5 or 6 years after that decision, we were able 7 years. I'm sorry, we were able to double the market for Mexican avocados. So the demand part of our purpose was coming true. We were now 85% of the market instead of 65, so we were able to grow that market share a little bit, but expand the pie. That was exactly the objective that we had. But at that time, we were already 60% brand preferred in the US. So we became that brand that we wanted to develop since the beginning, but at the same time, we were able to expand the demand. So that combination of branding and demand has helped us out, really make this market and this industry accelerate exponentially. Right now, saying that, now that we doubled the category, we still see a lot of potential. The If you see the numbers, Right now, the household penetration of avocados could be lower 60s in the U.S. And not only that, if you see the amount of fruit that they're buying per trip is less than 3 units, and we know that you cannot even make a good guacamole with 2.5 avocados, right? So I think that there's still a lot of opportunity to grow the category in the U.S. and sustain value. That's the critical and very unique situation that we have created for this industry. That usually when you have an industry that grows in volume so fast and exponentially, like avocados has done, you usually at some point you hurt price because you need to start discounting price. You need to start getting into new segments that probably need that discounted price. But in avocados, we've been able to grow price and grow value at the same time. So now we have a category that is double the size, but is more valuable per unit, right? So that combination, I think, is thanks to the marketing side of the business that we have developed for avocados from Mexico. Now we mean something for the consumer in their minds, and that strategy of sustaining value, it's also working for us at the same time that we're expanding demand. So the formula works, but the potential that we saw at the beginning was there. We made it through, and now we still see the potential for the following years to come.
Well, that's fascinating. You touched upon two different ideas that I want to kind of drill down on. One was on the marketing side that builds the sustained value, and I also want to touch a little bit on the technology side. So, why don't we start off on the technology side first, because I think that was a critical part of the success of Avocados from Mexico. Can you share a little bit of what Avocados Mexico is, how you guys leverage technology, the internet, the digital sphere to grow, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit more on the marketing aspect as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting story, right? Because if you see our, like I was explaining, our whole product line is one single product, right? With no packaging, no branding, no nothing, right? So it would be even more difficult to imagine that the channel that we have used to grow this is digital and technology, but that's the case. When we were trying to develop this brand at the beginning, we knew exactly what I told you. We were already big in terms of volume, but nobody knew the brand, right? So at that time we said, well, what can we do to stand out, to tell everyone, hey guys, we exist, and we're here to create a program, create a brand, okay? And we said that the best way to do it is to go to the Super Bowl, biggest marketing stage in the U.S. and by a single event, probably the world, right? Because even though you have other big events worldwide, the Super Bowl has something very unique. That is that consumers are highly engaged on the branding side of the Super Bowl, right? People want to see the ads and comment about the ads and participate in the marketing programs that the brands are bringing to the stage. So we said this is the time. So we went to the Super Bowl and became the first produce brand to ever advertise in the Super Bowl in 2015. And we thought that it was going to be a one-time event, that we're going to say, well, this is it, right? We're here and now we're going to build up a brand. But in the Super Bowl, we learned two things that were very important, critical for our story. One is that we could use the Super Bowl to build up a brand, and that is one of the big strategies that we have used as an organization. Because even though we're very big in marketing terms in the produce world, when you put that muscle into the real marketing world of the U.S., we're nothing, right? We're a very small fish in that point, right? So developing a brand in the media side of the U.S., competing with the big other brands and categories out there is almost impossible. But if I use the Super Bowl, that stage can help me out build up a message that at the end will build up a brand, and that's exactly the formula that we use. So that was the first big learning. But the second big learning was we can win the Super Bowl. And the only way that we were able to think that we can win the Super Bowl was on the digital and technology side. Because if you see the regular media investments that we were doing at that time, there's no way that in regular media, linear, I could be a player against Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Budweiser or anyone else. But on the digital side, size doesn't matter. If you have a very good, intelligent team, strategy, activation, you can stand out. And that first Super Bowl, without even trying much, we end up being the second most important digital campaign of the Super Bowl in 2015. So we said, okay, this is our thing. This is our thing. Let's go after this one. And with an amazing team, an amazing leadership of one of our key players, Yvonne Kinsler, that is our marketing vice president right now. We built up a practice that was not even there, not even for us. I would say for produce in general. That was, let's become this digital and technological giant in produce, and let's compete with the big brands using that. And with that purpose, we became the number one Super Bowl program on the digital side in 2018, beating every single brand that probably had 10, 20 times our budget. We using the Merkle report that I believe is the most recognized way of testing which are the best digital campaigns in the Super Bowl. We were the only brand in the first or second position 5 years in a row in digital. So even though we were that underdog, that small player, scrappy player in the Super Bowl, if you see it from the traditional marketing point of view, we were a giant in the digital space, using a fruit that was the most unthinkable player that probably you can get in the Super Bowl. So that formula has been extremely important for us to build up a brand and use the technology and the digital space to multiply our messaging and our strategy, being very, very innovative in that space.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. I can't think of another brand with that type of that sustained and growing brand strength. It's in any category. And like you said, Alvaro, there are billion-dollar Fortune 500 companies that do the same strategy. They try to do a 30-second or 1-minute commercial on Super Bowl that haven't experienced that level of engagement.
Yes.
I want to drill down on sort of like, okay, so you did the Super Bowl 2015.
Yeah.
You got the name out, Avocados from Mexico. Share with our audience exactly what was the strategy after that. So you got the big splash in terms of marketing strategy, education. What made Avocados from Mexico's branding and marketing strategy different than others? I think this is a message that I want to kind of get out to the food industry world, that the game is different now.
Yep.
And it has been, over the past 7 to 10 years. Share a little bit about kind of what made the AFM marketing strategy different from the rest of the crowd.
Yeah, listen, I believe, to be honest, that it started before the Super Bowl, because we were very disruptive since the beginning. Actually, if you see it since the beginning, probably we were disruptive from the founder's point of view as well, right? Because you have these two associations that came together to create a company that none of these guys were marketers at all, and they decided to bet on me, that I had absolutely no experience in produce, zero. My whole career was CPG, but they wanted to do something different. And when I felt that support of let's try to do something different, then I built up this organization with that thinking, right? I remember when I brought Yvonne to the company to build up digital for a brand that had no digital at all in 2014. the catchphrase that I used to convince her, because she was coming from agencies and American Airlines and another big companies that had nothing to do with produce, is I said, Yvonne, you know what? Come with me and let's do what no one else has done. And that's exactly what we have been doing. And the same way that I did it with Yvonne on the digital side, I've done it with other big departments in the company that have been working with me very consistently. My top management team has been with me almost since the beginning. Our turnover has been almost zero on that side. So we know each other very well. We understand each other very well, and we've been very successful since the beginning. So when we came to the Super Bowl, we were already thinking different. My idea since the beginning was, let's create the first produce brand with a CPG mentality. Let's bring all my experience and the experience of my coworkers from the past and create something that no one has done in this industry. And that was just one step of many. When we decided, for example, Brian, to develop the brand, one of the big decisions that we needed to make at that time was, how is the communication going to work? Because if you see most, if not all, of the produce brands that have some type of advertising or communication in the US, they almost tell you the same story, right? They all come from beautiful green fields and blue skies and perfect water and three generations of proud growers growing through the fields, right? So it's almost the same story. And I had an amazing story to tell from Michoacan. That is the only place on planet Earth that you can produce avocados from January to December nonstop. So we had that magical story behind it, but we said, no, that's not the way that we're going to do it. We're going to build a brand. We're going to become the Pepsi of produce. And we ignored all the origin and environmental practices and all the beauty of our Mexico fields to build up an exciting, fun brand. So that thinking was critical, and I believe it's important to understand it, because right now it's hard to stand out in marketing in markets like this, like the US. But I believe that if you find an interesting way of developing your marketing thinking that could work, you need to try to pursue that. And my way of thinking is that I want to see my whole organization and my marketing world and ideas working on four important uh, steps in the process, right? I believe that intelligence plays a very important part of it. The why is the strategy. We're very thoughtful in the way that we allocate our dollars to bring good insights, to educate our decisions as much as possible. But once you have that intelligence and strategy, go crazy. Be as disruptive as possible and be innovative, right? And break the rules. So that second part of being creative and innovative is very important. The third part, I love it because it gives me the balance, that is accountability. So I'm obsessed with performance and accountability. And I believe 100% in creativity, but I believe in creativity that is accountable. So we like to balance this idea of innovation and performance at the same time. And finally, you need to do that with a sense of belonging, and trying to create a company that is fun and attracting and engaging for everyone. So I believe that if you feel those 4 points in your strategy and your job, you're going to be successful. But you need to think a lot on how to do it. And if you see that opportunity, go after it.
That's definitely so fascinating. I love your point about accountability, Alvaro, because I think a lot of people are very creative. They have tons of different ideas that they want to implement, but not really understanding sort of like the ROI and making sure that like the KPIs, the key performance indicators, are hit. That's absolutely critical. I hope many of the folks that are watching and in today and even kind of in future days or weeks will listen to this, because I think what Alvaro is doing, or what he has done, it is it is the right strategy for now. The market has changed. Gone are the days where traditional like radio, kind of newspaper, it's not as effective. And so hope many of the folks listening in here are taking really really good notes. So
And
if
it's and
if
especially
Yvonne's listening here, I definitely want to get Yvonne, because I think love
here.
to get her perspective.
I highly encourage, because an amazing story to tell. She built something for us that was not existent, for this industry, that was not
Right.
existent. So yes, I will be happy if you bring her on.
Thanks.
I can tell you one thing that is important for your audience, especially if they're on the marketing world. Listen, the new marketing is a marketing of results. Um, if you're not thinking every single day how to connect marketing to value and growth, you're in trouble. Because I've been there, and I've seen organizations that doesn't believe 100% in marketing, and it's very easy when times get tough, and they will get tough, to cut marketing, because no one believes in it, right? So
Right.
if if you're not a believer, just take media out. Nothing is going to happen, right?
Right.
So it's your job as marketer to connect the dots and be sure that your marketing activities are 100% accountable on delivering value and delivering growth. If you do that, then you will build a different marketing perspective for your organization, and we're obsessed with that. I love I think that the key to success is balance, and having that balance of creativity, craziness, at the same time that you have strategy and performance works.
That's great. One aspect of sort of the marketing strategy I wanted to ask you on is, education was a key part of Avocados from Mexico from the get go, right? So educating about how to use the product in different ways. That's is something that when I look at AFM over the past 10 years, that's been a critical part of really helping the consumer understand more about the product. Share a little bit about that process of education, finding new ways, and educating consumers about how to use a product in new and innovative ways.
Yes. There's a that's a very important part of our strategy. When we decided to start building up this brand, we said that we wanted to create, obviously, our brand campaign that is going to tell our brand story, but at the same time, because we understood that we wanted to accelerate demand, that was the other responsibility that we had. We thought that it was important to develop what we call our generic campaigns. And why are generic? Because you cannot say from one avocado to the other which one is healthier. So health is one of our generic campaigns, and we know that health is very important, because health is the way to get into the category, right? And the number one driver of the category is nutrition and health. So we said, okay, if you want to be a good leader, we need to take health with us, and we need to create a campaign on health and wellness. Now, on the other side, if you see it from the barrier perspective, the number one barrier for entering or developing the category is education, because people are afraid that they're gonna buy the fruit and they don't know how to use it, how to ripen the avocado, or the most important question that they usually have that is what to do with the other half. how am I going to preserve the other half, right? So we said, okay, this is our other generic campaign, education, because if we work on the most important barrier and the most important driver of the category, we're going to make this industry grow. Even though, again, we're probably going to help other origins to grow, but it's our responsibility as leaders. If we want to extend this pie, we need to work on this, right? And we've been obsessed with education and health and wellness since the beginning. We have our own success index measures that we have for each one of our generic campaigns. And we've been measuring how we've been increasing our education level in consumers and how we've been increasing our engagement with key health and wellness factors like good fats for our category, to be sure that we make consumers a little more comfortable with the fruit and obviously consume more avocados. So yes, education has been key. Now, to get there, it's not easy. You need to do a lot of research, understand what are the key drivers that will really move the needle in terms of education. At the end, in that specific area, we found that it's really three main things that you need to focus on: how to pick, how to ripen, and how to preserve an avocado. Those are the three main areas that if you work on them, you're definitely going to be successful. Now, on top of that, it's the innovation and creativity of how to bring an avocado to life through a recipe, right? And that's a little bit different because we see it more than education. We see it more as an inspiration, right? But also looking for that balance. We didn't want to go crazy, right? Because we can, with an avocado, you can do almost everything that you want. You can do desserts, you can do smoothies, you can do anything that you want, right? But if you go back to the data, remember intelligence, strategy first, the whys first, right? If you go back to the data, 75% of our uses in the U.S. are defined by four things: guacamole, salads, Mexican handhelds that are tacos, burritos, quesadillas, and American handhelds, sandwiches, burgers, toast. So if you concentrate on those four, you're gonna make this category accelerate. The even though we eat a lot of tacos in this country, unfortunately, if you see the avocado penetration in tacos in the U.S. is not even 2%. So 98% of the tacos that people are eating right now in the U.S., they don't carry avocado or guacamole. So our job, instead of going crazy with a lot of different recipes, is let's concentrate in the drivers that are really moving the category, and let's make this category grow. So the core use as part of our strategy has also been a very important driver on how we've been successful moving the needle for the industry.
Great. That's great, Alvaro. And so I have two remaining questions for you. One, over the next 10 years, right? How does AFM reinvent itself from all this huge success? And my second question is, there are a lot of food and beverage companies, small stage, medium stage, large stage, that subscribe and listen and watch our content. How should they be thinking about marketing and strategy this year and in the years to come? I know that's a big question, but just some high level thoughts on how leaders of organizations can really take some of the successes that you've experienced and apply it to their own businesses.
Yeah. Listen, first on our world, I see a bright future for avocados here in the U.S. Like I told you, the numbers are telling us that still we have a lot to grow, and the market is going to continue growing. The offer is also going to be higher. We have seen more and more production of avocados coming into the U.S. So our job is still going to be very exciting, right? We need to continuously reinvent ourselves, because I do believe that probably our biggest enemy, being such a big player, we don't see really a big competition in front of us. I think that our biggest competition is ourselves, is our minds, is complacency. If you believe that you were already successful and that's it, we're gonna get trapped. We need to keep on growing, keep on reinventing ourselves, but be very strategic on how we do it, because we're in a different position now. The market is doubled when we started. Now we are a big brand. Now people know about us, right? So it's a little bit different. I've been moving more from crazy creative ideas and programs to a little more effectiveness and performance, right? When you run like crazy, you break things along the way, right? And I think that happened for us for the first years. Now we've been a little more careful on trying to be more effective. So we're working a lot. For example, we just finished our new consumer segmentation that I think is gonna be valid for the next 5 to 10 years. And with that, we've been very effective improving our targeting, our media targeting, for example, using data and analytics and first party data, third party data. So we're now being way more intelligent in the way that we investing our media dollars that what we were doing at the beginning, right? And that type of thinking is going to continue. Also, I believe that we need to be very well prepared and strategically prepared, I would say, for the future in each one of the key areas that drive the company. So I've been trying to develop a playbook by area to be sure that we have in our pipeline 3 to 5 years of activities. We this year end up creating our playbook for trade and shopper for the future. I'm working in food service right now. I think that brand and media is going to be the following one that we're going to work on. So I want to have the company very well prepared with very good playbooks to move for the future. And finally, the other area that I see a lot of interest is experiential. I think that now that the people and understand the brand and know how we think and what we mean, then we can play with that a lot. And in food service, we've been doing that. We already tried for a couple of years having our own restaurant. That was a great experience. Now we have a full concession play in the US where we're taking over stadiums, and we're doing a very cool recipe and product integration. And we're also doing that on the marketing side. We just did an amazing, super successful integration in South by Southwest when we became one of the top players of the event, with a great experiential idea that brings to life a multi-sensory marketing program that we have going around our product. So a lot of exciting things coming up for us, right? Now, from the general point of view, I would say the important thing is to understand where the market is going. I think that as CEOs, if you see it from the CEO position, you cannot rely 100% only on the knowledge and the education of your people to move forward. I think that you need to educate yourself. You need to understand as much as possible, because you cannot be an expert in every area, but you need to understand what they are trying to do. And so it's very important to keep yourself updated and understand where the market is going. The media landscape is completely different than it was years ago. The consumer is 100% under control. Actually, I was giving a conference the other day that I was explaining to the audience that it's incredible, but I'm in a position in an industry where people are paying to ignore me. That's the reality. Actually, pay to ignore me, right? You go to the paid Spotify's and Netflix and everything else to not see what I do for a living,
Right.
right? So that gets very, very complicated. So you need to understand what's going on in the market and be very creative, but don't forget always that balance of performance and strategy on your side, that will make you grow, and at the end prove that your strategies will bring value and growth to your organizations.
Well, that's great. One last fun question: what's your favorite way to even eat an avocado, Alvaro?
Yeah, that's I've eaten avocados in I think every single way, right? But we have a special recipe that is an avocado chimichurri that is amazing. I love it, and every time that I do it is a big success when I take it to parties. But really, if I have to choose one, it's the most simple one. Just take an avocado, cut it in half, dice it in your hand, uh, a little olive oil, salt, and balsamic glaze, and eat it with a spoon, and that's it. You don't need anything else.
Well, I love that. I'll definitely try that with my wife tonight. Alvaro Luque, President and CEO of Avocados from Mexico. Thanks you so much for your time today. This has been episode 7 of Latam Food Talks. Don't forget to sign up for our FI Latam newsletter. The link will be posted in the comments. You can find more about Latam American food and beverage news on our website at www.foodinstitutelatam.com. I'm Brian Choi, CEO of the Food Institute, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again.